This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 537 for February 5th, 2018. Monster Hunter Curious.
It's a safe space.
Welcome back to another episode of That Video Game Podcast. I'm your host, Boston, and joining me as always is Moonpeer.
Hello.
I don't think we have any news at the top of this. No boring business stuff. Nope. We still have 2 weeks left on the Mummy Demastered for Game Club. It's only about 6 to 8 hours, so you still have plenty of time to knock it out if you want to play along with us and with the community. The Discord channel for this game club is hopping in comparison to some of the other ones, so plenty of people to chat with and explain strats with as you are red silhouetted dashing through secret walls.
See, I didn't know that yet. I haven't got my secret silhouette dash through secret walls thing yet.
Don't worry, it doesn't tell you.
Okay.
Yeah. Alright, well, let's just get into it with Moonpeer. What have you been playing?
I have been playing The Mummy Demastered.
Hey!
We should start the show with that. No, it's really cool. Like, I'm loving the music. Like, I started it, I think, on Wednesday, and I've already sunk like 4 hours into it. I think I'm 2 or 3 bosses in. I just defeated the weird dragon that shoots fireballs at you.
Oh, man. Newsom and I were complaining about that boss yesterday.
Mm-hmm. And
all the rest of the bosses are super easy.
Yep. I want to talk about really, really bad game design. Here's a giant pit that you fall down, and your dead body is at the top of said pit, and then he knocks you into the hole.
Yep.
While he's still got your equipment on him. Yeah,
I'm going to have a lot to say about Mummy Demastered in our episode, but I think... One, I really like this idea of you die, the bad guy resurrects you, you go back almost like Dark Souls style, and you have to get your equipment back. I think that's a really cool thing.
Yeah.
Except when you get it back and you have no health and no ammo for that stuff,
and
that's the part that really sucks. Yeah.
Like, the way I figured it out is what you essentially need to do is you need to kill him from a little bit of distance away. Because he will drop a bunch of health and ammo stuff for you, but if you're anywhere close to him, you'll pick it up before you pick up your gear, therefore nullifying the point of picking it up in the first place.
Yeah.
It's...
Once you get over 4 or 5 health containers, though, and he only drops enough to fill up 2, that's sort of rough.
Yeah, it's a bit of a problem, but I defeated that boss. I defeated the boss after that with the staffs, like the one who looks like Horus.
That was a cool one.
I like that one. Also, that one was so easy. It's like, I went in there with like 1 health bar and beat him, and I was thinking, really?
Yeah, the fourth boss was pretty similar. The only thing that kept... I died once on that guy, and that was because I was being dumb and not platforming correctly. Like, my brain just was shutting off.
I was doing that for the dragon, where I was hanging from the ceiling, shooting him in the face, and thinking, I'll drop before this fireball comes out and hits me, and then every single time I didn't drop and got hit in the face with a fireball. Because that's the way I play games now, apparently.
Yep.
But, no, Mummy Demastered, interesting game so far. I'm liking a fair bit about it. Like I said, the music is incredible, the game looks great. But there will be a more in-depth discussion about that in the future.
Yep.
So other than that, I did a quick dip. I dipped my toe into the Forza Horizon world because, you know, it's Forza Horizon. The game looks beautiful. It's fun to just drive around. Not a whole lot more I can really add onto it other than, Forza Horizon 3 is great.
I played a bunch of that this week.
Yeah.
I part of the reason was I saw that I had a danger sign that had 0 stars on it. I was like, no, this isn't gonna do. Like, I'm gonna bust out my 999X series car, and I'm gonna I'm gonna hit some ramps, and I found out it was in the middle of a river.
Yep. So you need your off-road vehicle.
Yeah, which I didn't really have any great ones. So it was kind of fun because I couldn't take my super powered, overpowered drag racer in there. I had to kind of keep going back and forth between this and another one, tuning my car a little bit. And it took me probably 2 days worth of playing, a half an hour here, half an hour there.
Yeah.
And when I finally got it, I beat it by like 2 feet. I was like, yeah, ooh, got it.
I'm glad you got it. I was going to suggest the Bowler if you're ever looking for a good, powerful off-road car.
Okay.
The Bowler S, I believe it is. It's like a Jeep. It's just a nice big SUV-looking thing that happens to be a supercar, essentially. So,
oh, nice.
If you're ever looking for it, try that one out, but beware of the ridiculous throttle and torque pull that thing does, because it will spin out at a moment's notice. It's just so powerful.
Actually, from last week's Forza-thon,
what did you get?
Which is great that they're still doing it.
I know. I don't know how they're still doing it. They seem to have increased the time as well, because now it's not just like Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Now it seems to be
it's a whole week.
Now it seems to be a 7-day one.
Yeah. I actually won the Halo Warthog and decided to take it out just for poops and giggles, and it's actually really good.
Yep.
It's actually a really good off-road vehicle.
The one downside for that is it's super fat. Like, it is a big back-sided machine. Like, that is...
Yeah.
It's... In races, it's kind of difficult because you'll get tiny little minis cutting you on the inside.
Yeah.
And then you're in this, like, boat trying to turn around the corners. It's just so hilarious.
Maximus Prime in chat says the Lamborghini SUV is great too, which, yes, it is. It is shockingly good. And he asks Forza-thon. So I guess we haven't talked about Forza-thon maybe ever on the show, but basically it used to be like every weekend, but now it's every week. They have 4 challenges, and it can even be dumb stuff. It's like win a tournament in a Ford, which is easy.
Or it can be like on a drift zone in a Lamborghini.
Yeah, or like the one that I got the other day for the new Forza-thon is like get a skill chain that's over 33,000 points, which is basically just do one race, and it gives you like 35,000 XP, which is a level and a half.
Yep.
And it's basically every week they just have 4 challenges that get you XP and a ton of credits or a car if you complete all 4 of them, and it's just a little bit of fun extra stuff. It's almost like their version of daily or like weekly challenges.
Yeah, and they usually give you, it works out to be like a couple of lucky wheel spins, a bunch of credits, maybe a bunch of rep or XP, and usually they'll drop at least one vehicle reward in there as well.
Yep. And then some weeks something cool if you do all 4.
Yeah. It's like complete all these other ones and you'll unlock this special car.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, they've worked out really nicely. Like, I've got a lot of vehicles from doing them, and it's a really good way to get a bunch of rep to unlock the skill tree that you can get.
Yeah.
Which unlocks, like, you can get one of the best cars in the game just by getting to the top of one of the skill trees and just being like, oh, I now own this car.
I think I just bought that one. It was like 30 skill points or something.
Yep, something along those lines.
I haven't driven it. I should go do that.
Yes, you really should.
Yeah.
It's the best thing about that game to me is if you have whatever their stupid music service is called. Like, they had that
Groove,
thing.
I think?
Yeah, they had that thing where you could sign up with Groove and blah 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 and do all the other stuff. If you have a Windows account and I believe digital versions of your music, you can just put them on a Groove cloud basically, and then have that on the Groove station in the game without paying the subscription.
Right.
So, like, I know my wife, for example, loves to drive around Forza in Australia listening to country music because
that makes sense.
My wife loves her country music.
Yeah.
So she's driving around and all I can hear coming from next to me is her singing along to this country music tune while she's drifting around corners. It's quite surreal, really.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, Forza Horizon, I don't understand how they keep making that game better. Like, I love 2. I had the downside of playing 2 on the 360 rather than the new generation.
Yeah, me too.
So that had some really bad issues there. There was a lot of walls and things that you couldn't go through, which didn't exist in the next generation version. But I think, to be honest, I think they've hit their peak with 3. Like, it's that Forza 3 moment of, where are you going to go from here?
Yeah, like, without saying, like, you're just going to put it in somewhere else. And, like, now you're racing around Japan. It's, like, cool, but...
Oh, dude, see, you've just said the one place that I would 100% buy Forza Horizon 4. If
that's
they were
true.
like,
I was thinking about, like, and you didn't do anything new, but it's like, but you could race around Japan at night. And it's like,
dude, the mountain climbs and the downhills and the initial
Mountain climb Mount Fuji.
Yeah, exactly. I would be 100% in for that.
Well, if anyone wants us for consulting for Forza Horizon series, you know where to find us.
Yes, on the internet, where everybody exists. But no, Forza Horizon, it's so good. Yeah. And now we get into the problematic section of the show, because there's two things that is going to be really bad sign for you right here, Boston. Okay. The 2 games I'm going to talk about next, you know one of them, so I'll talk about that one last. Okay. I started playing Elite Dangerous again. Oh no. So my wife... Fun story here. I have a friend in England who was actually my wife's friend before she became my friend as well. Her name is Louise. No relation to my cat. I always had fun with my wife because Louise would say, "You should buy this game," to my wife, to Jess, and Jess would be like, "Okay," and go out and buy it. Sight unseen, no interest, nothing. Nice. I have said to Jess multiple times, play X game, play Y game. Please God. Yes. Alpha Protocol, play it. It's your alley, 100%. This is it's actually good, designed for you. Yeah. And her response is, nah. Or, I'll do you a deal, I'll play that when you get every achievement in Tropico 5. So she just wanted to waste 400 hours of your time. Yeah, exactly. But if I say to her, buy a game because she'll like it, she refuses to accept this from me. If Louise says buy a game, she's in. Nice. And now it seems that my wife has become the Louise figure for her friend, Kat. Where she will just say, "Oh, I bought this game," and then Kat will go out and buy it immediately. It's like, okay, so... Alright. Jess finally, after not playing the game for ages, Jess completed her journey back from the center of the universe. Oh, congratulations. Yep, so she's got the achievements, she sold all her credits. She went from 1 million credits to 30 million credits. Woo. So now she can afford to buy stuff. Yeah. And while Kat saw her playing it, Kat asked, what's this game? What's Elite Dangerous? Oh no. That's how it starts. So, you can be a pilot in space? Ooh. Literally, that was the response. It's complicated, but basically it's U equals space pilot. Right. Is the 4-word summation of Elite Dangerous. So today, Kat watched a bunch of tutorial videos. We told her to, just to give her a general idea. And now my wife and I are shepherding Kat through the early stages of Elite Dangerous. Nice. So right now we're doing some bounty hunting, and I've sold all my data at last, so I now have 68 million credits saved up. So, you know, it's going to be a problem because we started playing it again, and it's really fun. It's so complicated, but... Well, it's dangerous too because you have a new person. Elite to dangerous. It is Elite Dangerous too because you have a new person to show, and like you get to show them all the cool stuff and bypass all the frustration that you experience, and then you're like, oh man, this game is actually really good. And a whole bunch of little tricks as well, like something that we didn't even know until like recent developments. Like, let's just say the game has been updated like probably about 10-15 times since the last time I played it. There's a whole bunch of additional control options, there's more information. Elite Dangerous runs in 4K, everybody. Ooh, so pretty. Yay. On top of that, it also has the quality frame rate options on the X, which is what I'm playing it on, so that's good. Game looks more beautiful than it ever has looked before. The suns look scarier than they have ever looked before. The planets look so much better, like unbelievably so. but the community at large is still continuing to help everybody along.
Nice.
We discovered that there's a mode that you can set where in your control scheme, the hardest thing to do in Elite Dangerous is to go from destination to end point, because as you're powering up your engines, like, it has the three drive system: normal space, what's it called, super cruise, and then frame shift. Frame shift is like a warp jump, so from star system to star system. Super cruise takes you out of normal space and just makes you go extremely fast, so you can travel inside of a star system really quickly.
Okay.
When you're in super cruise mode, you will aim at a destination and it'll give you like this little meter with 2 bars that go down, and it's like speed and distance. When they're within the 2 blue meters, you hit Y, you come out of it safely, but you have to have them in the 2 blue meters. There is a thing that Jess likes to call the loop of shame, which the loop of shame happens because you're in space. If you power up your engines to 100% throttle, there's nothing slowing you down. So you just keep going faster and faster and faster and faster and faster as you're approaching your destination. So the loop of shame happens when you don't slow down soon enough and you go straight past your objective and then have to loop back around and then slow yourself down and then jump out of super cruise accurately on target this time. So that loop of shame is oh no, I missed my ejection point, so I gotta have to go back around. Oops. She discovered, thanks to the community and just handy little tips, there's a control thing which sets your throttle to 75%. So you can go full throttle at an objective like that, and as soon as you hit 7 seconds distance, like, because it'll tell you how many seconds you are away from it, as soon as you hit 7 seconds, activate your controls. In our case, we've done both bumpers. It sets your throttle to 75%, which, because you then set it to 75%, it gradually slows you down as you approach the objective.
Oh.
And then it literally, if you do it at 7 seconds, you end up perfect every single time. Just drop out right on target.
It's like a roll-in hole-in-one where it's plink.
Exactly. So there's so many little additional points like this that the community is like, if you're struggling with X, this is a solution for you. If you're struggling with Y, here's a solution. Not to mention the ridiculous fan sites which are, oh, you want to do some trading? Here's a good trading route. Oh, the galactic market updated because it does it real time. Let's just amend that a little bit using algorithms. Here's the new trading route. Like, the fan community for this are insane, and I love them for it.
Man, you falling in love with Elite Dangerous again is like, my wife decided to fire up Don't Starve earlier today because she wanted to play a little bit of it. I'm like watching out of the corner of my eyes like, oh, I can't play Don't Starve right now. I don't have the time. Oh, it still looks really good. Oh, this game's good. No, resist.
Well, literally, we booted it up this morning. When I woke up, Jess was already playing with Kat, and they were talking about like tutorial stuff, jumping out of, because you can't form a wing with somebody until they are out of the tutorial zone, which is 1 jump. Okay. So as soon as you make that jump, then you are suspect to everybody else being in your world. You do have the chance to play by yourself. There is like a solo play mode or just a play mode with friends, so you can minimize the risk of humans come along and being giant D-bags.
Filter it out a little bit.
So Jess was playing with her and I was like, okay, yeah, I'll jump in, do a little bit, I'm back in civilized space, I've sold all my data, I've got my combat ship, my Viper Mark IV, so we'll come along and we'll do some bounty hunting missions, which, when you're trying to get into the game at the start, real easy way to gain some money. It teaches you about the different levels of ships, the different levels of pilots, their aggressiveness, their ability to do combat, things like that. And it also teaches you about, I don't know the right definition for them, but it teaches you about the cruisers. So then you'll see a Python or an Anaconda, which, if your ship is, let's say, a football field long as your ship, these things are city-sized ships that have turrets on every single side of them, which humans can buy and humans can control.
Oh no.
And it's even better now because they have the multi-crew system put in there, which it wasn't in there last time. So you can hire people to become fighter pilots on your Anaconda and take ships out of your giant ship to shoot the little ships, which you might not be able to get to. This game is going to be a problem. I can hear it in my voice. Oh no.
The problem is they just keep putting more stuff in there, and all of it is like, yeah, I want that. Like, I want that a lot. That's great. Mm-hmm. Why'd you do that, you jerks?
The worst part is I actually saw it today. The two old top tier ships were like Python and Anaconda. They are the two cruisers, basically, which have huge hardpoint systems in them, all that kind of stuff. The Python is the lesser of the two. It's 58 million credits. I've got 70 million. I could buy a Python.
I could do it.
Slight problem. To upgrade it to what I need it to be, it would probably be about 100 million credits on top of that.
Bummer.
I've got a lot of space bounty hunting to do.
Yeah.
A whole lot. And I'm fine with that because I love that game so much.
Some good podcast time.
Oh, yes. That's exactly what it's great for. It's great for podcasts, for music, for hanging around, having a chat. Like, we caught up with Kat, we spent some time, had a chat kind of thing, so...
Watch a movie.
Elite Dangerous is bad. In the best way.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, my final game this week is Monster Hunter. Specifically,
yeah, I already
Monster
wrote down
Hunter
MHW.
Yes. Because this game is bad. Like, really, really bad. Like, I'm in so much trouble with this game, so... I apologize if I miss anybody off this list, but shout out to Soulman, Angel Eyes, Balkirk, Mackie, and Nimp. All people who I went on monster hunting quests with this week alone.
Oh, nice.
Bits and pieces, helping people, just fighting generic monsters for stuff.
SOSs.
Yeah, SOSs. I got my achievement for the SOS missions, which is to respond to 10 and complete the quest. The achievement is called I Am the Reinforcements, which
great.
I love that achievement name.
Great.
But let's see where to start with this one now as well, because let's talk about the two most complicated games that currently exist on console, shall we?
Well, do you know how many hours you've put into it, if that's not like a shameful number?
Last time I paid attention to it, it was 20, and that was on Monday.
Oh, okay, so a lot.
It's right there when you load the game. It says how many hours you've played at the very start. I hit A as fast as I humanly can because I don't want to see that number.
I don't want to know. Just put a piece of paper over the screen.
Exactly. So I think I talked a little bit last week about how, like, now I'm handling like the Great Jaggy and the starting big large monsters with ease. It's like, oh yeah, I go in there, wipe them out 5 minutes flat, no problem, easy. Then I got the Monster Hunter kick in the face, which is you get to a new area and a new area and a new area and so on and so forth. One of the new areas I came onto was like, oh, hunt this in... I don't think it was the Tziki. I think it was like the Zanidros or something like that. I was like, okay, no worries, I'll go hunt that. Dead in one shot.
Well then.
Because, as it turns out, that specific monster is an ice-based monster, and the armor set I had was weak against ice.
Ah, okay.
So, dead in one shot. I was lucky because I had Bulkirk along with me on that mission, so it was really handy to have someone who had actually full credit where it's due. I was the highest in the guild. Not anymore. Bulkirk took that title from me, last I checked.
Wow.
Things may have changed. But he helped me, he supported me during that mission. I immediately changed my armor out to my secondary armor, which is not as weak against ice. It didn't have a negative. So it was like 3 hits to kill him. Or 3 hits for him to kill me, I should say.
Okay, making progress.
Exactly. So I changed out my armor because the problem is the first time you run into a monster, you haven't researched the monster, so you don't know his strengths, you don't know his weaknesses.
Oh, okay.
You know, the first time you bump into them, like when you start tracking them, you just get a monster symbol and a question mark and a level for your research. The more you hunt that monster, the more the research goes up. So firstly, you learn his habitats. Then you learn what you can break on him. So,
oh, cool. I didn't even know about that. That's cool.
Yep. So the scout flies, which is the little green things that you chase everywhere, you can set them on a target. They will find that target like super quick. So like if I go into a really early level and someone's hunting a Great Jaggy, if he's on that map because I've hunted him enough, he is already on my map, marked exactly where he is, and I can just go, oh, he's right there, and then we head over there.
Oh, okay. And it sort of acts like Dead Space's idiot line, right?
Yes.
Where it leads you right to whatever you've chosen as your target.
Yep. So when they are leveled up enough, that's exactly what they'll do, is they will take you on the path to that target, unless you're in combat, in which case they come back to you, get out of combat, they come back out.
Has that replaced the paintballs from earlier Monster Hunter games?
100%. There are no paintballs in this game.
Great. That's a great quality of life improvement.
Exactly.
For anyone that hadn't played the previous Monster Hunter games, basically when the monsters run from area to area, like you beat the crap out of it, and it says, well, I'm not going to stick around for this, and it scoots off to somewhere else. And one of the previous ones, you'd have to throw a paintball at it to mark it, to make sure you knew where it went. Otherwise, you were just going to keep passing between loading screens looking for this monster, and now it just says, follow this line, which is the line optional if you still want to. You can track
whatever you want. So if you
cool.
If you unpin it in the map, you stop tracking it.
Okay.
And if you stop tracking it, it will automatically track whatever your primary objective is.
Okay.
So it's actually really handy, and like the first time you go into an area, the first time you see one of these monsters, like you will do enough research to figure out where they live, like I said. Then if you hunt them a bit more, then you find out what you can break on them, which becomes a weak point, what their elemental weaknesses are. So, for example, it's pointless using a thunder attack against a ground. Like the Diablos, I think, is immune to thunder because he is a hardcore ground-based dragon, so the elemental system doesn't work if you're using lightning. But then, if you research them even more, it tells you what they drop when you destroy those parts, so it gives you item lists. So if you're looking for something, you can actually see what you want from those monsters.
Oh, that's good.
And it was 3 stars. Like, it was like, oh, here's 3 stars. Once you've researched up to 3, if you stop hunting that monster, what would happen is that bar would go down. So it wouldn't go down past 3 stars, it would just go down. So you would, let's say you had 3 stars on a full bar, you jump into a map, you immediately know, there's the monster, there's his destination, there's his health status, this is his current state. Which, that's actually something else. When you've got the 3-star rating, if a monster is close to death on your map, a little skull flashes above him to let you know that's a really good time to capture that monster.
Start trapping.
Kill him. Exactly.
Yeah.
I got my teeth kicked in a little bit by the ice dragon because I wasn't correctly set up for him. It's like, that's fine. Adjust my starter, adjust my armor, my weapon, go back in, use a fire weapon instead. Took him down kind of easily. Started basically the second tier of progression where it's like, okay, now I need to focus on elements. Now I need to be aware of, is this monster going to hit me with fire? Is it going to hit me with ice? Do a whole bunch of research by getting tracks, by getting information on the monster, just walking around the zone, all that kind of stuff before I actually take him on. Just so I can go to my book and say, what can I do to make this easier?
Right. What do I need to get to make this armor better?
Exactly. In the process of doing so, I also ran across my 2 personal favourite monsters from the Dragon Hunter series, the Rathian and the Rathalos, which is the dragon that you've seen with the pointy face and the spiked tail and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
It's the male and female version of the same species.
They're cover stars.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
There is a quest to hunt both of them at once. They hang out together. It's a nasty quest.
Yeah.
The name of the quest is Redefining the Power Couple, which is very appropriate for it.
Man, I love when companies put, like, the quest names don't matter if that's, like, not a direct translation, and it probably isn't. But man, when they take liberties in the right places, it's so good. Oh man, it's so ridiculous, and I was like, legitimately, like, it makes me laugh just seeing that quest there in the description. I passed the quest, like I actually jumped in on somebody else's SOS, and 4 hunters, no voice communication, no nothing. Went in, killed the Rathian and the Rathalos. I'm pretty sure the Rathian is the male version. He's the easy one. The Rathalos is the female version. She's the queen bee. Bee in every single sense of the word. Right.
Like, so devastating to fight them if you're not that prepared for them. But now I'm taking them down like butter. It's like, oh,
No big deal.
easy. Problem
Yeah.
solved. So, get a bunch of upgrades. Did a little bit of progression in the story. Oh, wait. I just hit stage 3. I'm now on high tier mode. Where
Uh-oh.
everything just got so much harder. Monsters' health increased. Monsters' damage increased. There is a new Rathian about, apparently. Which
It's very much like Binding of Isaac, where you beat something and it says everything is terrible. The game just got harder, and it's like, oh no.
Yep, 100% it is.
I don't want
moment.
that.
Because I progressed a whole bunch through the story, and there's a bunch of stuff going on right now that I don't want to talk about because I don't want to spoil these little moments for people.
Right.
But yeah, the game just opened up a whole new level of interesting on me. To the point where it's like, you've already put, let's say, for an example, 60 hours into this game.
Hypothetically.
Here's the chance for you to put another 260 in, should you so desire. Like,
Oh man.
I unlocked the full weaponry at last.
Oh, okay.
On what is potentially completing the game, I unlocked the full weaponry, and I haven't discovered the monsters or the materials for half of those weapons on the end of the tree.
Oh, that's exciting.
So, hey, guess who's still got a whole bunch more Monster Hunter to play?
Man,
This guy.
that sounds so good.
It is worth mentioning as well, like, they include a lot of the systems in this from previous Monster Hunter games, but they introduce them very slowly.
Right.
So, I love this guy's name. The Elder Melder is back.
Oh, it's so good.
Yep.
Oh, Capcom, what have you done?
Yep. And he is a guy who you give him junk materials and money and research points, and he will duplicate items for you. So,
That sounds great.
let's say you're after a Rathian scale and you're really struggling to kill a Rathian, but you need more Rathian scales to get Rathian armor. You can literally go out, hunt a bunch of nothing, like hunt Jaggy 50 times in a row, and then use the materials you get from those hunts to duplicate Rathian scales. Just spend a little bit of money and research points, which you get. It showers that stuff on you like candy.
It's
So-
like it sounds like it's making cards out of dust in like Hearthstone.
Exactly, except
Yeah.
it's not a stupid, ridiculous conversion rate. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's not like $3 million and 400 Rathian scales. It's like, well, I'll just grind instead.
well, I created a bunch of Ultra Max potions for myself, which I think that's what they're called. But when you start, you can increase your stamina bar and you can increase your health bar to like a maximum. So the max potion maxes your stamina and your health immediately from the get-go. Just one potion, start of a mission, problem solved. I made a bunch of them from like jaggy tails and bones and stuff that I didn't need, and had 300 of them in my inventory because I am mentally incapable of going past a bone pile without scrounging through it for everything.
You could find like a Triceratops femur in there or something. You never know.
Exactly. So I just created a whole bunch of potions for myself. I was like, this is great. That was introduced to me probably about 25% of the way through the story. Then they introduced the I can't remember what they're called, the Tropical Safari missions, which is when you send your friends Palicos on missions to collect you stuff.
Oh no. That sounds too cute.
It's really cute, especially the animation for them leaving the airship and falling off an anchor.
Oh no, that sounds great.
Then after that, they introduced the captain of the boat, who goes back to the old world and then brings brings items back from the old world to the new world for you to buy.
Oh.
So it's just every time you complete like a stage of the story, it has increased what's going on at the home base. And it's like, I was a little bit iffy at first with the amount of stuff that's there now. Now it's overwhelming to me.
Well, it's like starting an MMO after it's been out for about 5 years and walking into the capital city, and it's like, great, there's about an Assassin's Creed number of icons in this map, and I don't know where I am.
Yep.
Awesome.
That's 100% exactly what it is. It is the Assassin's Creed, the Ubisoft, the open world thing of, hey, I need a checklist when I get back to base because I need to remember what I need to do.
Right.
The bright side of it is, though, is it does give you notifications that pop up. Like, the Tail Rider Safari will take up... let's say it's got five little stages to it. So every 5 missions, you'll get a notification when you go back to HQ saying, Tail Rider Safari has returned. So you can go and collect all the items, send out a new group. And it will do a really good job of letting you know all of that stuff. It's just if you forget to start it, then it's like, well, then you've forgotten to start it and you won't get a notification that it's completed.
Oh, okay.
So it's just one of those things where it's like kind of balancing it a little bit. But you know what? The game is fantastic. The game is amazing. If the idea of a Monster Hunter game has made you think that you will not like Monster Hunter games, you are 100% correct. This will not be the game for you. If you've been Monster Hunter curious for any point in your life, this might be the game for you, because the quality of life is so much better. You don't have to mine every 5 seconds to get whetstone because you have one permanently in your inventory.
Yeah, it's little stuff like that where it's like, oh, of course, like that's way better.
It's you don't have to bash B to get the 3 things out of this item. You just keep hold of B and it gets the 3 loot deposits from whatever.
Nice.
You can harvest while running.
Perfect.
Open world games don't get this correct.
I know.
You can harvest while running, like sliding down a mountain, and literally you just go snatch, snatch, snatch.
Instead of having a cutscene to skin a coyote.
Yes, exactly. It's so great. Like everything you could do, you do it on the fly. Like the quality. This game is the best example I have ever seen of a game taking major issues which fans loved and hated, and turning them to the point where, if you're interested in this type of game, there is a lower barrier to entry than there has ever been. Yeah. And there is still so much of the old school Monster Hunter in there for you to actually still sink your teeth into if you're a fan of the series.
Yeah.
I'm terrified right now because I just unlocked a whole new set of armors, and it's like alpha and beta armors, and I don't know which one to go for.
But that's incredibly exciting, though.
Exactly, because now it's like, okay, now I can do this, but I haven't got the materials for them either, so I need to go and figure out what materials make them, and then make them.
Oh, man.
Who knows?
That sounds so exciting.
But yeah, that's literally all I've been playing. 4 games. Let's talk about 2 of them for an hour.
Yeah, that's all right. I mean, I'm living vicariously through you for Monster Hunter right now.
Oh, Monster Hunter's so good.
On my list, we already talked about Mummy Demastered and Forza Horizon 3. Danganronpa V3, I'm now in the class trial for Chapter 5. I'm more than sure that there are 6 chapters, so I'm getting close. If the other 2 games are any indication, the last chapter's class trial will be really long. Mina gave me an indication of how long it is on Pup yesterday, and it will be a multi-hour affair, which is good. Like that almost sounds like, oh god, I gotta slog through this, but that's really exciting because they did the incredible thing in the first 2 games of actually genuinely wrapping up every possible loose end they could in the game by the time the game ends.
I know, that's the best thing though, is if you can do that, then fine, take the extra couple of hours in-game rather than leave me with questions at the end.
Yeah, and like any of the questions they leave you are very much like, see you next game, wink.
Yeah, deliberate kind of things like that. They're not going to lost it where they're just going to go, I don't know, why was there a polar bear in the school? Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, no, there was a reason.
Yeah, he was the bad guy.
Yeah, maybe. It's Monokuma's brother.
Yes.
Blanco Kuma. So far, I have not been let down by any of the class trials. The first class trial, for a lot of reasons, was really great. The second one, I'm obviously not going to spoil them, but the second one had probably one of the more intricate murder mysteries of any of the 3 games, and it was one of those where, like, going into the class trial, you sort of knew kind of a sketch of what was going to happen, and then as the class trial unfolds, you're like, oh, that was only like 10% of what actually happened. The machinations of how this person got killed and put where they were discovered is way more complex than I had ever thought.
Yeah. The old Phoenix Wright trick.
Yeah, and we were talking about this a lot on Pup, that the class trials really do remind me a lot of Phoenix Wright, but sort of expanded to, is I feel like when you go into Phoenix Wright, very infrequently do you get more evidence, or do you get, it's usually like, all right, we're going to have this testimony, and I have a piece of evidence, or I have a piece of knowledge that I know will sort of bust what's going on. And the thing that I love about Danganronpa is sometimes in the middle of case, you'll get new evidence where someone will be like, oh, wait, I remember like putting together two people's testimony with an action that happened is actually gets you the result of here's what actually happened, and that sort of turns the case on its head.
Yeah.
But there's also like, we were talking about this, that there's a really great flow to how each chapter goes. You know, at the beginning, you're sort of hanging out with your classmates and saying like, well, that was really messed up, that last class trial, huh? Hope nobody else dies. Whoops. Second phase, found a dead body. Yeah. And it's almost always a shock on who it is, because as you continue to go through the cases, at a minimum, two people have to go, like the victim and then the culprit. So, like, by the time you're in the halfway point of the game, you know, the number of people that are in the school have significantly decreased. And by the time I'm at the end of the game, I won't say how many people survive. But
I'm assuming it becomes one of those things as well, where you're like, oh, I like that character. Wait, now they're dead. Or wait, now they're the murderer.
Yeah, exactly. And, like, there was one case where I'm like, you know, I was making friends with one of my classmates in the chapters leading up, and then I find out that they're the culprit, and I was like, oh, well, that's a big bummer.
Yeah.
And like you do really, the game does give you just enough time with everybody sort of in the class trial and in the investigations and throughout the whole game to actually start liking these characters. So like you said, when you do find a body, you're sort of like, oh, it was them? That sucks. Like, or in one case in the game, I was like, it was them? All right, yeah. Like, I hated them. That's all right. They can go. But, like, where the point I'm at the Chapter 5 class trial, and the number of students are left is small, and like it is with the other games, it's sort of, you really like the people that are left, so, but somebody in the room is the murderer. So... Yeah. You almost don't want to admit it, and that's some of the stuff your character is struggling over. Is, you know, Monokuma cannot kill students. That's part of one of the rules that has existed in all the games. Like, Monokuma can't. He's almost like a moderator. He really can't, unless you attack him. He can't do anything. So one of the people that is around you has to be the culprit, but they're all pretty great people, so I don't want them to be. So I don't know. Danganronpa is still so good, and it's. I feel like V3 has finally gotten to them to the point where I feel like they were trying to get to with the previous two games. Like, Danganronpa 1, the mysteries were mostly good, but a couple of them were sort of like, okay, I mean, this person killed this person, and this is how they did it, and that's how it ended up. 2 got away from that, where there was some you know, monkey wrenches getting thrown in, but all of the cases in 3 so far have been, you know, like, oh, I got this, I know, this person killed that person, here's how they did it, and then even a couple questions in, it's sort of like, wait, maybe they didn't? Wait, what's happening? What actually happened here? Yeah,
actually making you think and adjust the way you're seeing things based on evidence and things like that.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because when you go into the trial, and one of the most common things is the nonstop debate, where it sort of goes around the room and people say, well, this is who did it. No, this is who did it. And that's where you shoot truth bullets into the person's lies to expose the lies, which I realized before we went in a pub yesterday, I never looked up the translation for Danganronpa, and it basically is like exposing truth with bullets. But now they give you more bullets to choose from, so you really do have to look through, like, you'll hear everybody's arguments, you really do have to look through all of your evidence and saying, like, okay, well, this, oh no, well, what they're saying isn't technically incorrect, but the evidence I have means, well, that we're not looking at this statement or like this problem the right way.
Yeah, it's the lateral thinking versus the vertical thinking kind of thing. Where
Right.
You've got to take a step sideways and look at it from a different angle rather than just looking at it at face value kind of thing.
Yeah. And the only criticism I have of this game is a similar but different criticism from the first two games. First two games did this thing where you could absorb somebody's statement in a nonstop debate and use that as a new bullet to shoot somebody else's statement.
Okay.
For some reason, I could never figure those out, and that's where I started leaning on walkthroughs, because it was like, okay, I've been through these arguments 4 or 5 times, and I'm like using the evidence I think is right, but nothing's happening. Like, I keep getting refuted. And this one also has a similar effect where if you excuse me, if you hold down the triangle button is typically just shoot a bullet into a statement. If you hold down the triangle button, it flips the statement and turns it into a lie. And sometimes you have to lie to expose the culprit to move on in the trial.
Okay.
For me, again, that's a thing that I can't actually figure out. So that's where I'm leaning on walkthroughs this time too, and thankfully, because some of them is sort of like, I don't know if I would have really figured that out easily. But yeah, I'm hoping to finish it this upcoming week because I don't have too much left to go. And then I'm super excited to play Assassin's Creed Origins because I feel like,
oh, I can't wait.
So many people have been talking that game up a lot that maybe I'm in the mood for an Assassin's Creed game.
I'm not gonna lie though, like listening to you talk about Danganronpa makes me feel like the writing stuff for that game must be like a Giant Bomb Game of the Year best character discussion.
Yeah,
like,
it's
this guy
so crazy.
can't do it because he's not wired that way, and this guy's my favorite. And then someone around the table's like, no, he did it because of this, and he did it because of
100%. Like there are some, I won't say in 3, but like in 1 and 2 especially, there are some of them where it's like they dismiss the culprit out of hand because it's like, well, that person can't do it because they're too nice, or like they wouldn't kill anybody. Mm-hmm. And at the end, it's like, oh, but I actually have like irrefutable proof that
it has to be the good person.
Yeah, like, and I think what's so crazy is it's really just one person writing the mysteries for these games, and they're genuinely really good murder mysteries. And over the course of each of these games, you get 6 of them, and it's just it's such an incredible amount of content and such a great. And I think the great part about V3 is, like I've said, they're finally making good on some of the stuff they either didn't have the money or the code to do, or like they were inexperienced in the first 2 games. Mm-hmm. You can tell they're just nailing it on every facet in the third one, and it's so good. And I really wish I would have played this in 2017, because it would have, even without finishing it, it would have gotten to really high on my top 10.
Yeah.
And thankfully, we were talking about it on Pup, but Danganronpa 1, 2, and 3 are all out on PS4, Vita, and Steam.
That's pretty cool.
And there's a rumor that the trilogy might come to Switch, which is probably the best choice they could make, because that will sell gangbusters.
Yeah, and it's a portable system and touchscreen, and yeah.
Perfect to just snuggle up and read about some murders. But even if someone doesn't have a Vita or PS4, the PC versions are really good, and they go on sale pretty often. So, I mean, I'll reiterate it again as I get deeper in. My 3 starter visual novels here: 999, and then the 2 sequels, Steins Gate, if you can put up with a lot of anime, and then Danganronpa. And Danganronpa, start with 1, and just at the very least play the 3 games. But also put the anime in there too, because it's really good. But the last thing I played is I actually I was supposed to play this last week because it just came out, was the episode 4 of TellTale Batman Season 2.
Oh yeah, the darkness within, the enemy within. I don't know, so many
enemy
withins.
below.
Batman, XCOM, the darkness evil within.
Yeah. I've played the first 2 chapters because I just haven't had a lot of time to play it this week. I'm sort of worried about the back half of this game because I think there's still time for them to figure it out, but there are way too many irons in the fire for this game. There's way too many storylines going on, and there's way too many characters at this point. And so far, it's fine, but it's one of those things that, like, it can go real wrong really quickly if either they're just gonna, like, kill off half their characters at the end of the season, or we're just gonna be left with just too many sort of hanging threads.
It's TellTale, so too many hanging threads.
Yeah, and it's sort of a shame because I really do like they portrayed Mr. Freeze really interestingly. Like, Bane is really cool. He's almost like he almost acts like a luchador now. Like they changed his character a little bit. Like, Catwoman is still really interesting. I really like how they did Harley Quinn. She's not the normal one she is. Like, she's already established, and John Doe is not established, which is, it's Joker. As soon as you see him,
spoilers.
You're just like, hey, it's Joker. He's the one that's not established, as opposed to, Joker messing with Harley Quinn and bringing her over. It's all done really well, and it's all told really, really well. And I really hope they can figure out how to wrap up this episode and the next episode really well, because I can wholeheartedly recommend the first season. I think that's really solid all the way through. And the second season, the first 3 episodes are really good, but it can all fall apart with these other 2, and I really, really hope it doesn't, because I'd like to recommend both of them, saying, like, hey, are you sick of regular Batman? Like, this is really good.
Yeah. To be honest, I hope they can nail it, but I hope they do it well rather than just, by pure coincidence, everyone happened to be at the same place at one time where Batman was, and
right.
Everything gets tied up because Batman captures everyone.
Well, and that's the cool thing that they're doing in Season 2. I won't spoil anything, but it really is like, what happens if Batman can't come? Like, what happens if Bruce Wayne isn't able to be Batman and go fix the crimes? What if he's, like, actually knee deep in it? How does Batman come and save the day when he can't?
Interesting. I know what decision I'm making at the end of the first season now.
Yeah, and it's really interesting to see, like, what does Bruce do when he can't be a good guy? Yeah. Like, what happens when he's trapped and can't just be like, Batman's gonna come save the day? Bap. So, yeah. And I hope they do keep writing that, because that's really interesting. And I think them showing a flawed Batman and them showing a Wayne family that wasn't good is really interesting.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I think I'm not a DC fan in general, but I think the DC stuff is best when they get it out from under all of their stupid stuff.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the best Batman/Superman story ever is Injustice. Not the games, but the comics. Like, those comics take all of those DC characters and turn them on their heads, and they are absolutely incredible. And
they've managed to avoid being like, ooh, it's edgy. Like, ooh. It's just really sort of like, what if some of these guys were bad?
It's not. It doesn't come across as edgy. It comes across as serious. Yeah. And it's like, they take the logical argument all the way to its end, which is, Bruce Wayne has a bunch of kryptonite stuff, because what happens if Superman is the ultimate bad guy? Hey, guess
what if he's not a good guy
anymore? He's the ultimate bad guy.
Yeah. Yeah, so I hope that it's still... I hope that they wrap it up nicely, and it's either not, a million hanging threads, or it's not like the last 10 minutes. It's like, whoops, everyone died. See you next season. Yeah. Because I'd like to see them make another season, and go as far as they can without it being bad, quite frankly. But we'll see. I'll have finished that this week, because it's just like, each episode, each chapter in each episode is like, at this point it's like maybe a half an hour. So it's, 4 to 6 hours a piece is not that bad. It's just sort of figuring out when can I sit down and find time to play it when my daughter isn't jamming on the controller because she likes the light bar on the controller, which does not work well for any games. But that's all I've been playing this week, so let's take a break. Let's talk releases for the week of February 5th, 2018. Shadow of the Colossus comes out on PS4. That's the brand new, complete remake. Not even a remaster this time.
Why? Just why? Didn't they re-release it twice already? Like once last gen and once this gen?
Yeah, they remastered it on PS3, and then this is like a full remake. I know I sound like a hipster, but I don't like either Shadow of the Colossus or Eco, so I sort of...
Never played them.
Yeah, I've tried both of them, and they both really didn't click with me at all, so, like, I get it, and I'm super glad that... This is another thing, like, I'm really glad that more people get to play a critically acclaimed game that they might not have, because either you didn't have a PS2 or a PS3, or you're just too young or whatever, but...
Well, I think,
it's really great.
I played Ico back in the PlayStation 2 days, like for about an hour, and then bounced straight off it because I was so young and it wasn't my kind of game at the time. So
yeah,
it's something that I'm interested in playing, but at the same time, I'm really kind of not, because it's like, okay, I can play this old game, or I can play the modern reimaginings of games like that seem to do it so much better.
Or you could just play Monster Hunter World.
Or Elite Dangerous. I've got spaceships to jump into.
Civilization 6 Rise and Fall comes out on the PC. This is the first expansion for Civ 6, which is a game I keep forgetting about just as a self-preservation thing, especially now that it's out on iPad and I have one of those. I don't really need to know that.
I have a PC. I don't need to hear about these games anymore, please. I'm already in trouble enough. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Octogeddon comes out on the PC, which is a game I didn't realize was out already. I've been looking forward to. This is the new game from the lead designer of Plants vs. Zombies. And basically, you're a giant killer octopus that is out to destroy towns. And it looks really good.
Katamari Occupy?
No, just more like the old Rampage, like NES and arcade games.
Okay.
Yeah, like let's War of Monsters destroy this city.
Dwayne the Rocktopus.
Yeah, there you go.
Sorry, I couldn't help it. That movie looks so bad. But anyway, moving on.
Rust comes out of early access on PC, OS X, and Linux.
Oh wow! How long has that been in early access?
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, when I wrote this down, I was like, man, look at a blast from the past here that just came out of the gate at early access hot and just did not keep up. Like, whenever Ark came out and was like, oh, I'll play that instead. And it's like, oh, PUBG came, oh, I'll play that instead. And it's sort of like people are leapfrogging all these other things. I'm glad to see it came out of early access, and I'm sure it's a fully featured game, but...
Yeah, I mean, my biggest issue with stuff like that is they're all community-based games, so if you have a group of 6 friends and you're all playing Rust, and then one of them jumps over to Ark and says, oh, but this does these things so much better that we've been complaining about,
yep,
you've then lost that whole 6, then those 6 decide, oh, let's play PUBG, and you've lost them again. Like, hearing the Giant Bomb crew talk about how PUBG has taken the hardcore Dota players away from Dota.
Yeah.
Like... That's kind of a big deal.
It's like what happened when like Final Fantasy XI came out, and like entire WoW guilds had to figure out, okay, are we going to stick with WoW, or is the entire guild going to move over to this other game? It's very much like you can't just have half the people leave. Same with these other games. It's like if you have half the people leave and they're playing Rust, like you're not going to play Rust anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rust needs a
Dragon
battle royale
Quest
mode is what you're saying.
Yeah, put more battle royale in there. Yeah. Dragon Quest Builders comes out on Switch, which seems like a perfect platform for it.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
And that game surprisingly got really well reviewed, and people really loved it. I did not think that, to distill it down, Dragon Quest Minecraft was going to be good, but they actually took it and made a really good game out of it. So
yeah, not gonna lie though, I kind of want Dark Cloud 3 or 4.
Yeah, just another Dark Cloud in general, forever. And last but not least, Mercenary Kings Reloaded Edition comes out for PS4, PS Vita, and Switch. This is a brand new release on Switch, but it is a free upgrade for PS4 and Vita, and I think PC, but I think that might have come out on PC earlier. Basically, Mercenary Kings, if you haven't played it before, they made a side-scrolling Monster Hunter.
Yep.
But like with a lot of their games, they made it too mean.
Yep.
A lot of this are... Basically, this entire update is, hey, we put in another character and quality of life fixes that make the game 100% less mean.
Yeah. I saw a couple of videos of that. I think I watched a quick look of it at some point. I don't know why I'm pimping Giant Bomb so much this week.
GiantBomb.com.
Yes. But I watched a quick look of it. Really interested in it at the time, but that was before I got Monster Hunter World. And as much as they might have put QOL improvements in that, I don't think they've hit it to the same level that this has.
Oh no, and I think it's a very different game. It reminds me a lot of 16-bit platformers. If they took the mission system and the item farming and creating new weapons and creating new armor that Monster Hunter does, and they sort of didn't hit it out of the gate. And I think the real unfortunate part of it is Mercenary Kings is pretty old at this point. Yeah. So I think
I'm 2 years behind on Giant Bomb videos, and I saw the quick look for it, so that should tell you how old it is.
Yeah, it's exactly 2 years old. And I think the people like me that really liked it, except for all of these sort of mean issues that were there, we've already moved on. I mean, that's the tough part. All right, let's move into news stories. Let's start off with the technically really confusing but interesting story. A Donkey Kong scoreboard has stripped Billy Mitchell of his records. So,
is this the one I saw in Discord and then did a bit of researching on?
Potentially. So, I think everybody, King of Kong, Billy Mitchell, hot sauce selling, American Thai flag wearing. There was a guy that ran a scoreboard that focused on just Donkey Kong. And, of course, Billy Mitchell was near the top of that at a 1.05 million score run. He has been stripped of his title because Son of Solid Snake in chat says, Billy Mitchell, the mullet dude. Yes, that guy. This is really interesting, a really interesting technical tale. He's been stripped of this because basically the scores that are officially, accepted are from an arcade machine. And usually it's just somebody with a camera pointing at the arcade machine for the however bajillion hours people need to play to get these high scores.
Yeah.
What it appears to have happened, now that they're really looking at these tapes, is you can play this stuff on MAME, obviously, because for anyone who doesn't know, multi-arcade machine emulator, it emulates basically every arcade machine ever made. The way that MAME renders the level when it draws in the level when it loads is different than the arcade machine. The arcade machine sort of renders stuff from one side to another, and it only does it in 5 frames, so you really have to go frame by frame. It basically draws it from one side to another, where MAME says we're going to draw ladders and then girders and then the other stuff, and it sort of pops stuff in.
Yeah.
So what they're saying that Billy Mitchell has done is basically started a bunch of games on MAME until he found the RNG that he liked,
Oh,
and then ran and recorded that and claimed that that was his arcade machine world running record. And I really recommend, I'll have the link to it in the show notes as always. I really recommend going and looking at this guy's post. It's really long, but it's really interesting because the guy wants to present all of his evidence and explain why he's doing this, because obviously Billy Mitchell is a controversial but well-known figure. So you can't just say, like, we stripped him because he was doing shady stuff. He's going and saying, like, here are the gifts, here's picture by picture, frame by frame, what this one looks like and what this one looks like and how they're different and why we're making this decision. And it's not, for me, it's not so much, pointing and laughing at Billy Mitchell, because he's just a person, like, let's not do that. It's more of, here's how we figured out that something isn't right because of how, the machine is drawing the individual elements on the screen.
Yeah, and if he wants that, why didn't he just do it with an actual arcade machine?
I think that's been the whole question, is like, obviously you're good at Donkey Kong. Like, people made a movie about it. you could clearly do a lot of this stuff.
Like, why not just keep pumping that quarter button until you get the RNG on the actual machine?
Yeah, I think that's the big question. I haven't seen any sort of response from Billy Mitchell himself, but that's sort of the question, which is like, why? It's very weird.
People are weird.
Yeah. A pleasant surprise, though, is This Is the Police 2 was just announced.
I am shocked and amazed, and I'm in love again. Thank you.
I was 100% sure This Is the Police would be one of those games where I'm like, I love it, everyone needs to play it, and we will never get a sequel.
Mm-hmm. One and done.
And we are. It's coming out this fall, and or coming out later this year. It's set in a cold northern border town, and you're going to play as a sheriff whose name is Lily Reed. So it's cool. It's kind of taking like you're playing as a woman, you're playing in a much different setting, and we're getting This Is the Police 2, which is probably the best news this year. Yay!
Yeah, if it's a cold northern town, does that mean it's in Canada? So is it This Is the Police A? Or
that'd be
This
great.
Is the Police A.
Yeah. That'd be great. I was just thinking, like, they never really said where the previous game was. It was just Freeburg, I think it was.
Yeah, I kind of get the San Francisco kind of vibe from it.
Yeah. Man, that's so exciting. I will play that wherever it comes. Hopefully it comes out on consoles, day and date. But if it doesn't, I just pre-order it on Steam. Like, let's do this.
Yup.
Love it. A little bit of a delay here, unsurprisingly, because it's from Rockstar. Red Dead Redemption 2 has been pushed back to October.
I'm waiting for the news saying it's pushed back to 2019.
March 2019, yeah.
They delayed, 3 times? So...
At least, yeah.
This is delay
there was one, I think...
2?
Delay 2, I believe. So I think it was supposed to come out early or late last year, and they was like, no, March. Now it's, no, October. I don't know. I'm surprised at how many people are that hyped about Red Dead Redemption 2. I don't know if I played the first one too late and wasn't really part of the hype train. Yeah, but like I didn't... I also feel like I don't really get hyped for a lot of Rockstar stuff because of a lot of delays like this. Like, I've been playing Rockstar stuff since the first Grand Theft Auto.
Mm-hmm.
They've always had this problem.
Yeah, I will get excited when I have that game installed. Because even if I start getting excited when it comes out, I'm still going to have to wait 4 days for it to install.
Yeah. Do you think you're going to pick it up? Are you excited for this?
I'm interested. I mean, okay. I think Red Dead Redemption 1 was the first time, in my opinion, Rockstar have 100% nailed a story. The right beats, the right flow, the
music. Good God.
It's still one of my favorite moments in video games, period, takes place in that game, and it is I think we've talked about on the show before, it's the riding your horse back to your farm.
Oh God, that scene is so good.
One of the best moments in video games ever.
Yep, I will agree with that.
So if they can do the same thing again, great, but it needs to be new characters. Like, I know there's been little information come out about it so far, but I'm avoiding it. See what happens when I actually get my hands on it.
Yeah, and the only thing they released with this was 6 new screenshots, and it's a lot of, like, dudes with horses and guns.
And I'm assuming a lot of sunsets, so you can't see facial features.
The very first screenshot is of a sunset.
Yep.
Like someone riding next to a sunset. There are a couple faces in here, but nothing specific of, like, they just look like cowboys and cowgirls, you know? Mm-hmm. I don't know. In shocking news, Sony President Kaz Hirai stepping down after only 6 years to be replaced by Kenichiro Yoshida. This is kind of surprising because I feel like, you know, as he stepped up as CEO, he had the monumental task of unscrewing Sony from the PS3, the beginning of the PS3, sort of ushering it into the PS4 when everyone was honestly writing that console off before it even got announced, saying, like, you guys are going to screw it up again, so see you later.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like he was a big part of turning that ship around, and to see him leaving after only 6 years seems odd.
Is this a vertical move for him, or is he straight out the door kind of move?
I think he is straight. The Sony nominating committee proposed that Hirai step down into a chairman role, but remaining on the board of directors.
That sounds super political to me, that does. Yeah,
he might stay on the board, but, you know, some of the stuff sounds like, yeah, man, I'm just leaving. See ya. So I don't know. It's, you know, there's a million reasons. You know, the Activision CEO just left the company too, and it's sort of like not a lot was talked about there. You know, as you know, it's like somebody getting fired at work. It's like, we're not really going to talk about it, but you know, at some point they pointedly don't talk about it, and I don't feel like that's this way with Kaz.
I'm just kind of, like, it kind of tickles me because it feels like the big names are moving out of the video game industry. Like, they kind of don't like the way it's going right now.
Yeah.
Like, what? It's not Spencer, it's the other Phil. I think it's Phil, the guy from EA who went to Liverpool.
Oh, God.
Is it Moore? Roger Moore? Pete Moore? John
Peter Moore.
Peter Moore, there we go.
Peter Moore,
yeah. It's like, I can't help but think he jumped out of that corporation at the perfect time.
Yep, before it went wrong.
I can't tell if is it one of these things where, like, he's always said he's a big fan of the club, and is it just a case of, well, this industry I love is going downhill really quick because of things I can't control. This team is a good chance for me to do something different.
Right. It's like a dream job that you can't turn down.
Yeah, so I'm just curious if these people are seeing the damages done to companies and reputations and things like that by some stupid mistakes by people in suits, and get out the door as quick as they can, kind of thing.
Yeah. Son of Solid Snake in chat says he's staying on with Sony, so he must be staying on in like, obviously, if you're the CEO, you would probably, given the opportunity, you probably want to stick around as a member of the board. You know, that seems like a pretty good position to be in.
I'm curious if it's a board of directors to ride out the rest of you contract kind of situation.
Yeah, maybe. Keep getting that stock.
Yep.
Next news story, I am proud to say that I was wrong about Dissidia Final Fantasy NT. There is a story mode.
Yay.
The interesting thing about this one is they have a whole huge grid of story mode nodes, and apparently it's pretty deep and pretty long, and basically you earn in-game currency to unlock those nodes by actually playing the game.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different than a lot of... I know a lot of fighting games do, like, well, you have story mode and versus mode, and story mode is sort of like an extended tutorial. But apparently this one is a lot like the previous Dissidia games, where all these Final Fantasy characters get sucked out of their own worlds and into this other dimension, and then everybody fights. So it seems pretty cool. And thankfully it's there.
Yeah.
And last but not least, EA confirms their delay for BioWare's Anthem. allegedly to make room for Battlefield. They are delaying it. They're pushing it back to early in 2019. EA CFO Blake Jorgensen said, quote, "It's not a delay," end quote.
It's a delay.
It seems like they're just a little pissy because of Kotaku reporting on the delay before they put out a press release. Yeah. And it's like, well, it's not a delay. We're just slightly pushing it back into another calendar.
But this is also the same Kotaku that revealed just how deep EA are in trouble right now. And the same Kotaku who basically said, yo, Anthem, it's make or break time.
Yeah. And all they're saying, Jorgensen says, it's just the launch of a new Battlefield game later this year. They didn't want to put both things out at once.
I haven't even heard of that game yet.
They probably haven't announced it yet.
Yeah. I bet you it gets trailed at E3.
Oh, yeah.
And I bet you it doesn't come out until next year.
Well, and what's really funny is, like, they did exactly this thing with Battlefield 1 and Titanfall 2. Like, they sent Titanfall 2 off to die, when they're like, hey, Battlefield 1, and this other game, whatever, but Battlefield 1. You know, it's like, they must really be betting a lot on Anthem if they're going to move it out of the way of something else, when they made that mistake before.
Yeah. I did... I want it to be good. I genuinely want it to be good. I want it to be great. I want it to be amazing. Like, Jess is on complete media blackout for this. Like, she refuses to even listen to me say the name of the game. That's how much she's on media blackout.
I just keep missing trailers. Like, I'll find out, like, 2 months later, like, oh, a gameplay trailer's been put out. And it's like, well, I'm not even going to watch it at this point. Like,
no, I saw the E3 stuff. It got me hyped. I'll wait now until the game comes out.
Yeah. Oh, man. All right. Well, get hyped for emails. Starting off with Jimbo Jangles. Jimbo Jangles here with Valentine's Day around the corner. That brings me to my question for the week. What's your most memorable gaming moment with your significant other?
I was actually... It's really weird human trains of thought. I was actually thinking about this while we were talking about something else.
It's the Matrix, man.
It's Saints Row 3.
Oh, yeah.
I actually appeared on the Game Club episode for Saints Row 3, and I'm pretty sure you can go back and listen to that episode and hear me talk about my friend Jess, who is now my wife, Jess.
Right.
And we played through that in Saints Row 3 and 4 entirely in co-op mode.
Oh, nice.
And Jess did the role-playing thing, and... like, we were time travelers from the future who were dressed up in steampunk outfits.
Great.
And it was genuinely a laugh riot the whole time, and Saints Row 3 and 4 particularly are really good for that as well, though.
Yeah, and never too serious. Like, if you just want to blow up a bunch of cars in the street in between missions, like, that's a perfect game to do it in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think for me, it's still my wife and I playing The Witness. Because there was, like... It was so clearly, like, how the two of our brains work differently, where it's like, we'd go into another area, and the first couple puzzles are real simple, just to teach you the rules of each area. And then, pretty quickly, it just starts giving you the real puzzles. And a lot of times, I'd be like, oh, it's this, connected, and I'm just, like, flying through puzzles. And some of them, I'll get to another area, and she'll, like, oh, give me the controller, I don't know how to do this. And just, draw, and just, like, flying through areas. I'm like, I don't even understand how you're doing this dark magic you're doing right now. Like, what's happening here?
Yep.
And I think, like, us eventually saying, it started off with, like, oh, this is fun. And it's sort of being like, oh, this is starting to get hard. And then it's just like, all right, get a notebook. Let's do this for real. It's like, all right, we're cutting out pieces and we're putting them together. And it's, okay, now and like, just having two people not knowing anything about that and getting two pairs of eyes on a game that's so much about observing the environment was really cool.
Yeah. One of my favorite memories actually might be, if I'm not on the show next week, folks, that's because my wife has listened and has killed me for telling this story.
I'd like to give you Exhibit A, Your Honor.
Yes. Basically, we don't fight much, myself and Jess. Mm-hmm. We have issues. Everybody has issues. You have conversations about it. You try and fix things. You move along. One of our biggest fights was caused by video games.
Okay.
Specifically, EA Sports UFC.
Oh boy, okay.
So, I'm good at video games. I've been playing them since I was 13.
But bad at drinking, as we found in the pre-show.
Yes. Horrible at drinking, and no, not alcoholic drinking, just regular old drinking.
Any liquid.
So you can give me a game that I've never seen before, give me an hour with it, and I'll be pretty good at it. I won't be the best, I'll be good at it. You know? Jess played EA UFC 1 for probably about 10-15 hours, really getting into the systems of it, really,
finding your favorite fighters.
Yeah, understanding the combat system, things like that. I played the UFC games back when THQ made them, which was so much more complicated, so much more in depth. I hadn't played a UFC game since. So while I was living in England and Jess was over here, she was like, come on, play UFC. We'll do a couple of rounds versus each other, and we'll see how things go. First 4 fights, she kicked the ever-loving snot out of me. It was knockouts, it was stuff like that, it was fine. Second 4 fights, and this is all in one night. Like, second 4 fights, it was like 50-50. She won 2, I won 2, but it was like, hear me, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
4 fights after that, I learned how to parry. I learned how to power attack. I learned how to block, all just while playing. I won those 4 fights.
Uh-oh.
So that immediately turned into a huge argument of, how have you played this for an hour and you are so much better at it than me? It's like, well, I get the parry system. You don't parry, you barely block. I parry and hit after I parry, so by video game nature, I'm stronger in that aspect. And it was a huge fight. Like,
that's why my wife and I don't play competitive games together. Against each other.
Because of that, and because of FIFA, my wife and I have a zero competitive multiplayer like agreement.
It's got to be a co-op game. Competitive co-op. That's all right.
Exactly, that's fine. Any straight up 1v1, we don't play anymore.
Yeah.
I do not want a divorce on my hands. Thank you very much.
It's not worth it.
But that's a great memory for me, just because it's an amazing story.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to our next question here from the Nimp in Discord. It brings up actually a really interesting point I hadn't thought of. He said, more of a statement and not a question. Your last episode, you guys talk about the parental controls on Xbox being great, but it really isn't. Yes, it is great where kids can play games outside of the or cannot play the games out of the ESRB that you set up. You can password lock the store so they can't buy things. However, my issue is that the Xbox does not curve their ads at all, even with the parental control active. My son's account still gets ads for adult games that have very mature pictures or display cases. An example of this right now, I'm looking at an ad for Zombie, which shows 2 zombies, one bloody and the other just frozen to scream while reaching for you. Not great for my 9-year-old and 4-year-old to see. Another was Call of Duty Zombie Modes ads, which the zombies are way worse to look at. It's been a known problem that parents, including myself and my wife, have complained to Microsoft for years, and they haven't done anything for this.
Yep, this is something I wasn't aware of until I read this in the Discord, which, that's a little stupid. Like, good on them for everything else. Like, fantastic job on everything else, but that is something that should not be overlooked.
Yeah, and it's sort of like, I can understand Microsoft not wanting to get into, trying to age gate some of these ads, but you would almost think that some of these companies would want to say, all right, well, we have these ad spots for just like 15 and under kids. Mm-hmm. I'm sure a bunch of companies would love to advertise for only younger crowds, as opposed to, is there like a new Transformers animated movie that just comes out on DVD? That's obviously a bunch of 30-somethings are not going to be as interested as maybe the exact target market, but a 9-year-old isn't going to be picking up and playing a zombie. Like, they sure as hell don't need to see that. Like, that's bad.
Show the latest Minecraft stuff. Show Roblox.
Just put Minecraft in there forever.
Exactly.
Hey, remember Minecraft? You play Minecraft.
These are all things which should be easy. It's a big thing for them to be able to say, because they need to be able to go to somebody and say, okay, these are the advertising fees. You're going to hit people 15 and up.
Yeah.
These are the advertising fees. You're going to hit people 15 and below. Just one split. Dead simple.
And I mean, this is the real bad problem about having ads in the dashboard.
Yeah.
And Sony is starting to dip their feet into that too, which is also unacceptable. But especially, and it wouldn't be as bad as, you pay for Xbox Live Gold and you don't get ads. That's still shady, but fine. That's a little bit understandable. But it's just, I don't know. That I'm glad that Nimp brought it up, because that honestly just kind of sucks.
Yeah.
That's one of those things where it's like, maybe you need some more parents on your team, on the ad team or something, because that doesn't really work.
It's a little bad that shows up. I mean, yeah. I wasn't aware of that, but at the same time, the parental controls we have on one of ours is a 15-year-old, so...
Right. So, you can still play T games, that's fine. T-Bomb Rocks on Discord asks, with rumors surrounding Microsoft looking to buy EA or Valve, which of those two do you think is a better option and why? I like that a lot of people have been like, well, this clearly isn't going to happen. It's like, it's not that it is impossible. It's definitely possible, but
it's not likely.
Yeah, I think of the likely ones, I would be really surprised Valve would want to sell themselves, especially to Microsoft, with Gabe coming from Microsoft. Yeah, and them having Valve having very public, very nasty disputes with Microsoft. Valve is in such a strong position right now in nearly every facet that I don't think they need to get sold.
I don't think Microsoft could afford it. It's that simple. I think the asking price for that would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Gabe wouldn't want to sell. Wouldn't want to sell.
Yeah.
The price would be too high.
And why would you sell Steam?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just a moneymaker.
On top of that, you'd have to get into a knife fight with Gabe to actually take over. So
it's true. He does like his knives.
Got a pen in it, and then you've got to take the knife off him and use the pen embedded in the knife to sign the contract.
Yeah, you have to kill him and then sign it in his own blood.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think EA is more likely, and I actually think that Microsoft purchasing EA on the whole would be a fairly positive thing, because I think Microsoft could afford to do something great with EA's back catalog. Put all of it on Origin, or put all of it on the Microsoft Store on Xbox One or PC. And I think EA's biggest problem right now is loot boxes and all of the controversy surrounding them. And I think a sale to Microsoft would probably largely erase those issues.
Yeah, and I see a lot of people saying, I've read a fair few internet comments about this kind of situation, and it's like, well, Microsoft would never buy EA because they wouldn't get exclusives. You're right. FIFA, Madden, these big licenses that they have, Star Wars, they wouldn't get exclusives from that. They wouldn't. But you know what? Microsoft have proven with Minecraft that they've got no problem putting things out on other platforms, and they make their money from those platforms the same as everybody else would.
Yep. It doesn't... the idea that EA would stop putting FIFA on the PS4 is ludicrous. The fact that someone thinks that they would pass up millions upon millions of international dollars,
to be honest, it's not
millions. Crazy.
That's in the B's.
That's true.
With Ultimate Team and everything else, that is in the billions, because FIFA...
Yeah, forget about Ultimate Teams.
FIFA fans have been subject to this whole loot box thing for much longer than the rest of you people.
For going on a decade now.
You normies have had it easy compared to us football and soccer fans. But you've got to think, okay, that's fine. They won't get exclusives from that. Hey, guess what? Microsoft buys EA. All of a sudden, 2 years' time, there's a new Skate game.
Sure.
3 years' time, there's a new Dead Rising game.
Right.
4 years' time, there's a new whatever you want. Think of the catalogue that EA have got under their wing that they're doing nothing with. Command and Conquer.
Yep. Well, and the great thing about Microsoft is throughout their entire company history, they are never shy to spend money that might potentially get wasted. They are happy to just throw a whole bunch of stuff at the wall and see what sticks. And even if it doesn't stick the best, they're going to hang on to it and just keep making it better. We were talking about that last week or the other week with the Zune and the Surface. Skate 4 isn't good. That's fine. That's Skate 5 coming out in 2 years. That one will be better. It's just
Fusion
that would
Frenzy
serve
1
them
and
well.
2, prime examples of that.
Yeah.
But on top of that, you take into account what Microsoft are trying to do going forwards. They are trying to be the Netflix of video games. You can see this from their announcement about the first-party stuff on Game Pass. Hey, guess what? EA has the Early Access program on Xbox, which doesn't exist on Sony platforms because Sony won't allow it to happen. All of a sudden, that EA Early Access becomes part of the Microsoft Game Pass service.
Yep. Now every EA game is just... It's right there. You want to play Anthem day one? $10 a month.
Yep.
You want to play Battlefield 5000, whatever the new one's going to be? $10.
Yeah, I honestly think, in my heart of hearts, they need it. They need to... If they're going to do it, they need to go big with EA. Because EA is on a downturn right now because of the situation they have put themselves in. Their stock has been flip-flopping quite a lot recently.
Yep.
You've got... I was reading Pactor's discussions about this, and he was saying, generally, when a company comes in and takes over a publisher, it's because they can brute force it, like Take-Two are trying to do with... No, not Take-Two.
Vivendi and Ubisoft?
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's that situation where they're trying to do it forcibly. And then there's the other situation where it's like, how many executives want to get out the door because the situation at that company is not good right now? And
how big of a big check can we give you?
Exactly. EA is a prime example of a company that's probably got executives with one hand on the door already, just waiting to get out.
Golden parachute in hand.
Exactly.
That they got from a loot box.
It's a good chance for them, and if they do snap up EA, Phil Spencer's been pretty clear. Games as a Service is his ongoing mission. He received a promotion to top tier of Microsoft as a whole, which is kind of unheard of for the head of the Xbox department. That shows you that they're kind of taking this a little bit more seriously.
Yeah.
So, if they can do it and keep putting stuff out on other platforms and then add it all into their Games as a Service thing, it's a win-win for Microsoft either way. You'll get your $60 over there, you'll get your exclusives or even timed exclusives over on your platform that you're trying to build. Release Skate 3, say, it's a 1-year console exclusive because we don't want to be like that towards people who play video games.
Right.
It's good word of mouth, it's good public perception, and it's good for you because you get it on both platforms for minimal work.
Or they do like EA Access, where it's like, if you play it on this platform and you have EA Access, you get access to it like a couple of days early.
Yeah, exactly.
You get to play it over the weekend, T-Bomb Rocks continues his question here. Whatever other companies would you like to see Microsoft acquire to help with first party? For me, Obsidian or Platinum Games would be exciting. I'm actually surprised they may have behind the scenes, I'm surprised they didn't try to buy Platinum Games when they were promoting Scalebound so hard.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like they could say, all right, we got Scalebound, we got Bayonetta, we can throw some Bayonetta money like Nintendo's been doing. That's why it only comes out on Wii U and Switch, because Nintendo's funding the development of Bayonetta 3. I'm surprised they didn't try and scoop up Platinum then.
I think EA is the best fit for them, because EA is a Western studio, Microsoft is a Western developer.
Yeah.
Correctly or incorrectly perceived that way, that is the situation as it stands. I think Capcom would be a great buy for them.
Yeah, that's true.
I honestly think that if Capcom were to be bought by Microsoft, then a lot of the Eastern audience would lose all respect for Capcom and wouldn't want to deal with them anymore because they're now a quote-unquote Western studio.
Right.
Because Microsoft has been banned in the East a lot.
Japan just does not care about the Xbox brand at all.
They don't. And I don't... It's the same with developers over there, though. Nier Automata, Neo. These are games which should be on the Xbox. I don't know why they're not.
Yeah.
As far as I can tell, they're not published by Sony.
No, yeah. Well, here's a really great company that they could purchase that they don't have to worry about perceptions about with a great back catalog, and that's Konami.
Yeah.
You scoop up Konami, nobody cares what Konami's doing right now, but you start saying, all right, we're going to reboot Metal Gear Solid and start a new arc, and they've got Microsoft money, and we'll put some new auteur in front of Metal Gear Solid, and hey, by the way, we're also going to put out a whole bunch of stuff from the back catalog because now we care about games.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Konami's actually not a bad choice. Plus, depending on if you go for Konami, the gaming side of it, you could get that for a steal.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, I don't know, we want like $20 and like a burger.
A pizza.
Yeah, like... so good. Yeah, other than that, like, I don't think any other companies spring to mind that are in the same position that someone like Konami are in or someone like EA are in that seem like they would be easy to kind of scoop up and bring in the fold.
Yeah, well, not easy, but easier.
Yeah.
Trying to get Valve out from under Gabe was going to be...
Burn this place to the ground myself!
Well, it's like I saw a bunch of people saying, oh, EA stock went up like, 2% or whatever because they announced they're putting loot boxes back in. It's like, no, that's not when it went up. It went up when rumors came out that Microsoft were interested in them.
Yeah, and also people seem to forget that when they took loot boxes out of Battlefront 2, they said, hey, they're going back in later.
Mm-hmm.
And now people are like, they're putting loot boxes back in. It's like, oh my god, it was like 3 months ago. You cannot be this much of a goldfish.
All right,
let's move on to... Name. Oh, T1 Rocks has another question here he posted later. Just announced if you buy the Season Pass for Far Cry 5, you get a remastered version of Far Cry 3 over the summer. Do you think this could start a trend to sell Season Passes? This is such a weird one, because I don't know who's going to say, like, hey, I'm excited for Far Cry 5. Let's play Far Cry 3. It's sort of... I don't know why you would want to, like, back-to-back an open-world game that Far Cry 5 is probably going to be, mechanically exactly the same as 3 and 4.
Yeah. And 2 with less malaria.
Yeah. And Far Cry 1 was just such a weird game that I don't even like comparing it to anything. I don't know... See, this is such a weird one, because in so many ways, it seems like if you put Far Cry 3 available digitally on, a remaster digitally on platforms, and you sell it for like $30-$40, I'm sure you'd get a bunch of people buying it.
Mm-hmm. I think the best way to do it is the way THQ Nordic, aka THQ, did it. Which is they announced Darksiders 3, and the day they announced Darksiders 3, the collection went on sale. Yeah, for like $30 or $40 for the remastered
for the
edition
two
of
games.
Darksiders 1 and 2.
Yep.
Here's an announcement. You want to get it back up to speed? Here's the 2 games the day of the announcement. The game's probably about a year out, so enjoy it.
You got plenty of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a better... even in the press release, say like, hey, the first 2 games are available for way cheaper right now.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I'm getting a little bit fed up of season passes.
Yeah. They haven't really been... I feel like they over time have not been getting better, and I feel like... I've never subscribed that much to, the season pass just has all the cut content from the game, and now it's the full final. I've never subscribed that. Clearly, there are some cases that have been like that. Or you've got, like, Capcom... Alright, birds. Seriously? You've got, like, Capcom with Street Fighter and, on-disc DLC. That's a separate issue. But, like, I feel like most times when you see a season pass, it's like, great, you get 3 single-player DLCs for this Assassin's Creed game that'll come out over the 2 years after the game. It's like, I
don't the game by then.
Yeah, like, I don't want to go back. Like, obviously the Jack the Ripper DLC is different because it was so fundamentally different from Assassin's Creed. It was like, okay, well, you need to play this because it isn't Assassin's Creed. But
yeah, exactly. Like, by the time the season pass is done and dusted, more often than not, I don't feel it's worth it.
Yeah.
When you get, in my opinion, the game to do it the best was the game to do it first, and that's LA Noire.
Oh, yeah.
Season pass was $15, 3 pieces of DLC. It was crystal clear about what all 3 pieces of DLC was, and the season pass was a good price.
Yeah.
Now you've got season passes which are $60, which are 30, 40, 50, $60.
Yeah.
And it's like, all you're telling me here is I might get 2 pieces of DLC which you haven't told me what they're about, and you don't know how long it's going to be, and these 5 costumes What else am I getting for my additional $30?
Mina brings up a really great example in chat. Says, only season pass I ever did was Borderlands 2. That's probably my favorite one, where it's like, I think a lot of people, myself included, I don't remember if I bought the season pass. You can probably listen to 2008's episodes. I don't remember if I bought the season pass right off the bat, or if I waited until the first DLC, but that was one of the few season passes where it's like, okay, they announced a new expansion, like, I gotta download it, I gotta get home, I gotta play it, like, it's gonna be good, and every episode was good, and I feel like it was one of those, to me, it reminds me a lot of the VIP pass on Marvel Puzzle Quest, where it's like, for $20, I get all this, like, that's worth way more, and it's like, for the season pass in Borderlands 2 is either like $20 or $30, and you got a ton of stuff, like, a ton of really great stuff, and I think 2017 showed me that for so many of these games, if I'm interested in the game and the DLC looks interesting in the season pass, I should just wait until the Game of the Year edition or the gold edition comes out later that has all this stuff in it.
Yeah,
because maybe then I'll have time to play it.
Yeah, this tended to be the thing for me. Is I have bought season passes for games which came out 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Because the content is there, because I know what I'm getting into, and because I haven't played the game yet. Dying Light is a prime example of this. That came out, it went on sale for the gold edition for I think it was $40 for the game and the season pass. And they announced when that went on sale that the season pass price was going up because the last piece of DLC was so much bigger.
Right.
So for me it was like, well, I'm interested in playing it. And there's this thing to deal with. So yeah, sure, I'll get the gold edition now because it's on super deep discount and I get the season pass. And that game is really good. I really need to go and finish playing that.
Well, and that's the great thing now about both consoles having really great digital sales finally, is a lot of times not only the game will go on sale, but the season pass will be like, hey, now it's $7. I bought the season pass for Lego Batman 3 because it was like $4 and came with 6 extra episodes. It's like, well, for $4 I can get a ton more content. Like, why wouldn't I? It's a lot of times you can scoop up a game for $30 and season pass will be $15 and you get the whole complete game instead of spending it for just $60 over there. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I totally don't know if I actually told you what I picked up over the Christmas sale on the Xbox, which I shouldn't mention it because you'll want me to play it.
What'd you pick up?
Watch Dogs 2 with the season pass.
Watch Dogs 2 is so good.
Yeah.
Watch Dogs 2 is one of the few games I would recommend, not doing a ton of the side stuff.
Oh, okay.
Because it's fine, but it doesn't. Once you buy the RV car and once you buy the drone, that's it. You don't really need to do anything else. So, yeah, man, that game is good. But Watch Dogs 2 is a game you can play at any time.
Yeah.
So whenever you're looking for I feel like a Ubisoft open world game, Watch Dogs 2 is waiting for you. It's ready.
I recently finished Assassin's Creed Origins as well, so
yeah. Late Elf asks, speaking of Far Cry 5 DLC, having read what those are supposed to be, what do you think the chances of using something like a drive-in movie as a framing device? So the whole thing that I'm seeing is one DLC is in Vietnam and one is on Mars and one is further in the future. And it's sort of
interesting.
Some of that stuff almost seems like they're trying to take the approach of Blood Dragon, where it's it's Far Cry 3, but it's weird and totally different. Whoa!
It also reminds me a little bit of the Wolfenstein 2 Legends,
those stories they're doing. They're almost done with those, by the way.
Yeah, the Stories of the Rebellion or whatever it's called, where you go in and you hear the story of somebody.
You play as somebody totally different.
But that allows you to take it in an unconventional way. This person was a super soldier. This person was based on Mars. This person was the other. It's stories. That's the whole point. You can get away with them.
Right.
I mean, it's an interesting framing device.
It'd be cool if they did use a drive-in movie as that, because that'd make a lot of sense and that'd be really fun. Yeah,
that stuff like that is always cool. When they produce DLC like that makes sense. These cards that you go in and you literally, for the Wolfenstein 2 stuff, you go and sit at one of those old school movie theater things where you stick your head in and watch the movie reel go past. So things like that is great. Frame it in a realistic way. Don't just have an NPC who constantly yells at me to come and explore this new area of town.
Welcome to the EA store, traveler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And last but certainly not least, probably my favorite question of the week from Maximus Prime in Discord. Do you think Crackdown 3 will be on and poppin' or whack when dropping?
Yeah, I saw this. It's so good.
So I think it's going to be both. I think reviews are going to say it is whack when dropping, because nobody seems to like... Critically, the Crackdown games don't do very well. The first game had a lot of issues, but obviously fans really loved it. Second game retread a little bit too much of the same ground for it to be critically positive, but again, fans really loved it.
Yeah,
I think Crackdown 3 is going to be the same thing. It'll be reviewed and it'll be like, here, Crackdown 3 drops. Too little, too late. 5 out of 10. It's gonna be something like that, and fans are gonna be like, "This is great! I'm jumping over buildings! Woo! Agility orbs!"
I'm expecting that and Sea of Thieves to get the very similar reaction, which is critics hate them, people who play them love them.
Here's the big question I think that's going to keep coming out of Sea of Thieves from reviewers, and especially on podcasters and like Quick Looks and stuff, is, but what do you do? Like, that's going to be the question. That unlike something like Monster Hunter World that has a clear gameplay loop that you can say, oh, you upgrade your equipment and you hunt down more monsters and stronger. Sea of Thieves is sort of like, you sail the seas with your friends and do missions. And I think...
And get treasure.
And I think the question is still like, but what do you do?
Yeah.
That question is sometimes appropriate. Something like No Man's Sky, where it's like, no, but really?
Yeah.
And...
That's a really good example.
Yeah, and something like Sea of Thieves, where it almost seems like it matters less, as someone looking from the outside in, it seems like it matters less because really you're just being pirates with your friends. And like at some point that core part is fine, and maybe there doesn't have to be a total purpose.
Yeah.
But
this is actually, like, that game is on our list of things to get as soon as possible.
Well, thanks to the Xbox Game Pass, only $10 a month.
Yep. Guess who's signing up for that soon?
That's right.
This guy.
Yeah. I think Sea of Thieves, I will continue to fight for Sea of Thieves and Game Pass, because I feel like that's the easiest way to get you and your friends to play Sea of Thieves. It's just, you spend $10, you get access to 100 games, one of them is Sea of Thieves. If you don't like it, cancel the plan, and you don't have to play it anymore.
Yep.
You don't have to like return a disc or fight with GameStop or whatever. You can just try it out. And if you like it, keep spending the $10 or spend the $60.
Yeah.
And then buy the season pass and the loot boxes. I don't think it has either one of those.
Don't say loot boxes.
I don't think it has either one of those.
It's going to. It's going to.
Man, if Rare puts out loot boxes, like, I feel like that is the end of an era for gaming. Dude, we're done. We're over.
Forza has loot boxes.
Yeah.
This is a game about getting loot boxes. It is going to have loot boxes.
I bought a bunch of cars recently in Forza Horizon 3, and it keeps asking me, like, do you want to spend credits? And I was like, oh, right, you can buy, like, real money credits to buy cars. It's like, if there's any game you don't need to do that in, it's Forza Horizon. It gives you a car for, like, after every race for the first 30 hours. Like,
pro tip, go into the store page in the actual game. You can turn that notification off.
Oh, that's right. I need to turn that off. Yeah.
Really handy.
Okay, well, that's our episode this week. Thank you very much, everyone, for writing in, and thank you all for listening. If you'd like to visit us, you can do so at tvgp.tv. Everywhere to reach us is on the right-hand side of the page, including, as we were talking about, the Discord server. That is... You want some stuff on and popping, the Monster Hunter channel and the Marvel Puzzle Quest channel are 24/7. Those channels are lighting up. If you're not on Discord, yeah, that's right.
I'm too white for this.
I know, I can't keep this up. I really recommend, if you haven't been on Discord, everybody, of course, since it's the TVGP community, is super welcoming and super friendly. Come in and chat with us. We're talking about... yesterday, a bunch of people were talking about 18-wheel trucks. I don't know how that happened, but I learned a lot.
That was really interesting to scroll through the Discord and suddenly be like, That's a bunch of cool trucks.
Yeah.
How on earth did the conversation go there?
I learned a bunch of stuff. Link to the Discord server and all the other stuff on the right-hand side of the page. The current game club title is The Mummy Demastered. We're about halfway through with 2 more weeks to go.
Get on it, Maximus.
Yeah, it is legitimately about 6 hours long. So, even if you do 100%, it's probably about 7. So, certainly not a huge time investment. And watch us live. Twitch, YouTube, those links are on the right-hand side of the page as well. And join us on Patreon, patreon.com/E1M1 for all the cool behind-the-scenes stuff. I don't know if I talked about relaunching E1M1.com. Find all 3 shows there, E1M1.com.
Not on the show you didn't. You did on Twitter.
Okay, well, E1M1.com. Find all of the all 3 shows on the E1M1 network. And that's all we have, so we'll see you all next week.
Bye.
Dance. Boy, I have way more titles than I thought I would. We had no titles up until we started talking about Monster Hunter.
Forzathon? Question mark.
That was a really good one. I didn't write that down, but I will.
Blanco Kuma.
Oh, yeah.
I knew you would miss that one.
So stupid. Why did I say that?
Snuggle up and read about some murders.
I wrote that one down.
I'm sorry to point this one out, but America Thai Flag.
America Thai Flag? Yeah, I heard myself say that, and I was like, wait, is that backwards? I'm just going to keep going.
Mm-hmm. That's like me with the 2 and the 10.
Yeah.
10.
If you don't acknowledge it, nothing ever happened.
No, exactly.
Any other titles?
Nope, that's it for me.
I have My Wife Loves Her Country Music.
Okay, I kind of like that one.
The second one gets my my vote. No relation to my cat. That's so good. The Mayor of Space. The Loop of Shame. That Sounds Too Cute. Monster Hunter Curious. Because I like how you laid that out like it was a sexual preference. Like, I'm sort of Monster Hunter Curious.
Oh, wow.
Snuggle Up and Read About Murders. Forzathon. And Blanco Kuma.
I really like Loop of Shame, but No Relation to My Cat is actually kind of good as well.
Just the way you throw that, because you were like, oh, her name's Louise, no relation to my cat. It's just like, well, yeah.
but Monster Hunter Curious is so good.
Monster Hunter Curious is also really good. I sort of want to vote for that. Just because of how you said it, you're like, oh, if anyone's like Monster Hunter Curious, it's sort of like... I'm gonna circle that one. I feel like that's a really strong... I feel like almost all of these are really strong this week, which is really uncommon. Which is why we do this segment that, surprisingly, most people don't listen to. I ran a poll for that on the forums years ago, where I'm like, hey, do you guys listen to the
titles
title section? And they're like, the what now? And I was like, okay. Maybe my gap is too long there. All right. Starting in 3, 2, 1. This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 537 for February 5th, 2018. Monster Hunter Curious.
It's a safe space.
No Monster Hunter shaming here. All right, thank you so much, everyone, for watching and joining us. As always, there were way more people here this week. I'm assuming that all of you are hiding out from people in your houses watching Super Bowl. So,
yes.
So that,
go team.
You. Yeah, go sport team. All right, see everyone next week. Bye.
See ya. I should look up there where the camera is.
All right, and we're done recording.